Okay. Here we go.
Just want to make sure that we're live. Do it live.
We'll do it live.
See, Alex, it's like,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, that's sounds a little bit.
Yep. But like that's how dark it is in that.
All right. Let's wait a couple minutes.
Wow. Close all of the tabs. Closing the tabs. Hey, look at Alcantara, James.
Quite nice.
Ooh. Perfect.
Okay. We are definitely live. Let's do this.
Yeah.
All right. Hey
Okay.
chat. Hey Ara. Hey Isaac. Hey Mr. Mufu to you. Hey Matthew. All right. So
Okay.
my name is Daniel. This is Alex. This is Andrew. And we're going to talk about day one of CS 2018.
My
Who wants
gosh.
to kick us off?
Day one.
We've been here a while. You can tell because tonight we're drinking water instead of beer.
We're drinking water.
Oh, jeez. There goes
So-
that money.
Today was the official opening of CES 2018. The show floor open. We took a walk through, saw a bunch of really cool exhibitions, exhibits. We got some great interviews, and we put up some cool content on AC.
Yep.
So, who wants to start us off?
So let's kind of go back to some stuff that we saw a little bit early that was actually announced today, the new VR headset from Lenovo, which
Yeah.
is Daydream. What's unique about it, it's Daydream without needing a phone in there. Everything is self-contained. So the Lenovo Mirage Solo is the name of this thing. It's
Not related to the hotel.
yeah, which is confusing announcing this thing in Vegas. And
They
actually
should have
they're
done
not-
their briefings in the Mirage.
Yeah, actually the
Missed
product
opportunity.
experience
Yeah.
is not even at the Mirage anyway. So
Dang.
yeah, this essentially has the internals of a high-end Android phone, Snapdragon 835, 4 gigs of RAM, giant battery, 4,000 milliamp hours, all contained in this device which is designed from the ground up around VR. So you have this, it's a headset, it has kind of a strap going around the back that is more sturdy, more padded.
Yeah.
You have
They
kind of
call it
wheel at the back.
The design is it's called a halo because it kind of
Yeah.
sits on top of your head in a solid ring, and then you just twist the back.
Mhm.
So it's not flexible like a Daydream View has that weird elastic thing.
But that's
and-
like it can become sort of front heavy and start falling off your head after a
Right,
while.
but this one doesn't do that because all the weight kind of sits on the top and it kind of goes, on the crown of your head, and then, because the weight is better structured as well, you don't have this heaviness of a phone.
Yeah.
And the very front of it, they can redistribute everything around.
Okay, so the significance here is that you don't need a phone for the first time to use Daydream.
Yeah, so it has an internal, and this is actually kind of unique for Daydream as well, it has an internal Quad HD LCD display. I think this is the
Yeah.
first LCD we've seen that does Daydream. That's,
And you guys demoed it. Did you notice a difference between OLED or?
Yeah, so I wore it. I didn't notice any difference. There was a little bit. There was still a little bit of the screen door effect. We're still talking about not quite there in terms of having super high resolution screens that these mobile type chips can handle. But it tracked fine. I didn't notice any additional ghosting or anything. That's kind of the worry with LCD is that the
Right.
refresh rate's not going to be fast enough. Didn't notice any of that. And I played a lot of games that required a lot of moving around as well, so that's one thing. It has inside-out tracking as well as cameras on the front, so that's another thing that you get.
that's what a world sense, right?
Right, and they have large physical separation on the cameras, unlike if you had, even if you had dual cameras on the back of a phone in something like Daydream. So I was moving around a lot and didn't notice any tearing or ghosting or anything like that, which is really impressive.
And Alex, this WorldSense technology, tell us a little bit about what it does.
Yeah, so it's kind of just building on the sensors that were already in phones. You have the two front-facing cameras, which helps with motion tracking. You can move, duck down, as well as the side-to-side motion that you would normally get in any kind of Daydream experience.
Super
and you actually
cool.
played a game, Andrew, with I think it's like a snowboarding game
Yep,
or something, where you
yep.
could actually duck down. We have video of you jumping around like a lunatic on.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't
on
see
video.
that. That was fantastic, I'm sure. You don't look graceful when you're wearing VR. And I ended up running into a table a couple times, all that kind of
You
stuff.
got to be careful of your surroundings. But
Right.
yeah, that's what this lets you do in Daydream compared to just slapping a phone in a headset.
And it's not to be confused with like full room tracking, something like Vive. It doesn't have any sort of you can't go wandering around. You can just maybe, what do you say, couple steps forward and back.
Yeah,
you can kind of lean
it's
around.
Sort of, you look at the distance of this couch. It's like that
Yeah.
in a square, pretty much. The area you can sort of go around it. Actually, you mentioned Vive there, kind of interesting. We also have Vive Pro that's been announced.
Yeah,
so
very
that's
cool.
a higher resolution, but OLED with an OLED display. So I don't think any of us have actually demoed that yet.
Not yet, no.
But obviously a very different kind of system. Obviously, you have built-in cameras in Vive Pro as well.
And there's now built-in headphones.
Yeah. So it's just much more of a self-contained experience. Going to be interesting, I think, when we're getting these LCD displays that are VR capable, seeing how they stack up to slightly higher res traditional OLED VR stuff. I think the Vive Pro isn't at 2880 across, but it's still OLED, so you have that possibly more of a screen door effect because you know the subpixel density and stuff like that. So yeah, it was really interesting to see the stuff that Lenovo's doing. Actually, they have a camera as well, which is a part of the experience.
A 180 camera.
180 camera, yeah.
Not a 360 camera.
Not 360, yeah, which actually makes more sense in terms of like a traditional photographic experience. It's awkward to take a 180 photo than it is to take a 360. You're not just doing this all the time, holding the thing up in the air.
So it's just this little guy. It's called the Mirage 180. It's about this wide, that tall, and it just has two kind of fisheye type camera lenses on the front.
13
and then,
megapixels, I think. Dual 13.
and it doesn't have a viewfinder.
No, it doesn't.
It just pairs to your phone.
Yeah, pairs to your phone. I mean, to be honest, with 180 degree field of vision, what you can see with the cutoff here and it is pretty much what is going to be captured anyway.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so you have this camera that pairs to your phone. You can obviously get the full field of vision on your phone's display, transfer photos off, and then use it on the Mirage Solo or any other Daydream headset. Go in there, look at your photos, and it also captures 4K video at 30 FPS as well.
And for as cool as 360 is, when you think about having a VR headset on, 360 is really neat. You could theoretically turn around and see everything. For this kind of experience, if you're sitting on a couch, you can't do a 360-degree environment anyway if you're going to be sitting down. So you're either standing up in a room awkwardly, or maybe you have a swivel chair or something you can swivel around in. But with a 180 experience, they don't expect you to go beyond here.
Yeah.
So it's just how far you can kind of turn your head and your body, and that means that you can, quickly jump through these 180 photo and video experiences, and you don't have that weird jarring experience of, well, the person filming actually has to hold it like this for 180.
Yeah.
They have to take photos or take video like this. Whereas with 360, yes, it's cool that something could be happening behind you, but now you're constantly looking around and feeling like you're missing out.
That's a huge part of 360 content creation is helping the person that's viewing it know where to direct their attention. You don't really have that with 180.
Right.
Also, something that's pretty big with 180 because you have two cameras, it's stereoscopic.
Right.
So that, of course, in Daydream is huge. Much more sort of immersive experience there.
Okay, so we're moving on to
Razer and Project Linda.
So possibly the weirdest announcement at CES to do with Android. This is
I saw a robot playing ping pong today. That's not the weirdest thing.
No, that is definitely not the weirdest
thing. That was
thing.
an Android playing ping pong.
Yeah. There's so much weird stuff at CES. I wish we could cover all of it. But to do with Androids, so this is a laptop dock for your Razer phone. It's a Chroma keyboard, it adds RAM and battery, but there's not a whole lot else going on right now.
It's basically a Blade Stealth 13-inch computer.
Right.
And this is a prototype, this is a work in progress. We don't even know if this will ever come to market, right?
But the idea here is really cool. You dock your Razer phone into a slot underneath the keyboard where your trackpad would be on a regular laptop. And you essentially use your Razer phone as a trackpad. Super cool idea. Not to mention the fact that it then mirrors your screen to the laptop screen. You get a sort of a laptop experience in Android, similar to what you'd see on, say, Samsung DeX.
Yep.
And you can play games. You can do pretty much anything that you would do on your Android phone, but you have this much larger canvas.
And a much larger battery as well.
So
yeah, they said it charged the phone 4 times over again.
We don't know if this will come to market. It may
I don't
not.
even think Razer knows.
Razer announced a couple of really interesting projects at last year's CES that never came to market, but this one is a little bit more practical, and we know that Razer is all in on the Razer phone.
And
So
the thing is that it's not a crazy laptop. It's just the laptop. It's 75-80% of the laptop they already make. It just doesn't have any of the processor components, anything
Gutted
like
with a
that.
hole for the phone. They
Just a
also make
gigantic battery.
Yeah.
So the laptop weighs almost 3 pounds. So most of that is just battery and screen.
Yeah. Which is the way it should be.
Same with most laptops actually. The weight
Yeah,
is
well,
all
true.
It's all just those.
So they don't have much more than just concepts when it comes to the software. We saw a couple like very, very, very early prototypes that were running kind of a mishmash of different apps and things. But the desktop experience is pretty cool, actually, and you can easily see it looking just like Samsung
Yeah.
Dex or something like that. It's not hard to reskin that. The only question is how they get this second screen type of thing working. They had some demonstrations where they were plugging in a mouse, and then at that point, obviously, you don't need the trackpad anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And they were showing things like having Photoshop on the main screen, and then having like a different palette down at the bottom, or histogram on the bottom, or adjustments down at the bottom. So you already have a mouse to use as a pointer. You can do something like that, or you're playing a game and you have your inventory or your chat or something like that on the second screen.
Yeah.
Now that's not just going to happen automatically. Android's not built for that. So they would have to build in all of that and have developers work that into their apps.
But if any company's going to do it, it's Razer. Razer's already worked with a bunch of developers to upgrade their games to support 120 hertz on the phone. We could see. I mean, they were using Age of Valor, which is a really popular mobile MOBA. I guess it's just called a MOBA. And they have an idea of using the Razer itself as that inventory screen, as you said. So lots of great ideas. No pricing or availability yet, but it's very cool nonetheless.
It's amazing that you could, if the software was right, that phone could definitely power a core experience.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
It will be interesting to see what happens with those kinds of devices with, Dex and all this stuff, like this sort of.
I didn't mean
convergence of-
vainglory. I'm sorry.
Oh God.
Thank you, Joshua.
No.
You saved me.
This is why we have chat, you see.
Yes, I'm like trying to be like subtle
No, that
about
was
it.
enough time for somebody to send you a lot of tweets and emails. It doesn't matter.
Save me, Joshua. Okay, so
Moving on.
next one.
Next one, Synaptics and the first in-display fingerprint scanner in a smartphone. Very exciting.
Yeah,
So
so
a Vivo phone.
this was cool. This was a demo that we'd heard about, but Alex, what did you think? This is on a Vivo phone that has no name.
Yeah, so we've heard, Synaptics have been teasing this going back a few weeks, I think, saying they're working with the top 5 manufacturer. Got a look at it today, and the way this thing works, it is a sensor that lives in the, above?
Underneath the
Underneath.
panel.
Right, underneath the panel.
But the
And it
panel's
uses
so
the-
thin that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, so it uses the light from the OLEDs to actually illuminate your fingerprint, and it uses the pressure, well, it doesn't actually use the pressure, but the fact that you
Flattened out your
flatten
finger.
yes, you need to flatten out your finger in order for it to take, because it is all optical, it's not passive or anything like that.
Which
Also
basically means that it uses a camera to take a little
tiny camera that's plugged
photo of
into
your
it.
finger and match it with the data that you stored in the phone.
And the experience, there are subtle differences between using a fingerprint sensor that you get any Android phone now and using this new thing. It is a little bit slow. I forget the exact number.
It was
something like-
0.7 seconds.
0.7, I think, yeah,
whereas
something
the best fingerprint sensors now are like 0.2.
Yeah, so it's not going to be quite as fast yet. There are trade-offs there.
This is also the first one that they think is
sure.
they can mass produce.
People have asked about display aberrations around the area where the sensor is. Didn't see any today.
No, you can tell if you have the screen off and you hold it at a very fine angle. You can see the way it kind of reflects underneath
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
You can see that in.
You would
in
wonder maybe,
displays,
you can see like digitizers and displays in the bright sunlight. You'd wonder maybe if you took it outside under very, very bright sun somewhere, you'd be able to see something.
Someone's asked what would happen if the screen cracked. Would you be locked out of your phone?
No, I don't think
You would
so.
still
Well,
have the
you-
pin lock.
Yeah,
right?
you'd be able to use your pins. So
Yeah.
that was a great question.
But I guess if it was like spider shattered right there,
Well,
it
I
wouldn't
mean,
be able to.
if
take a
it
photo.
broke if it broke the OLED, there's
Right.
no light, so you can't detect it.
Right.
But if the glass is just cracked, then in theory, it should be okay.
And so that's one point.
Yeah, unless it's splintered right over the sensor, so it couldn't actually see.
Did you mention it only works with OLEDs?
Only works with OLEDs. We have now. Yes.
So because the LCD has a backlight, and so it can't.
I think it's
mess
more like
with
it has
that.
a filter, a above it. But
Well, it also has a backlight, so
Yeah.
it would be like the act of it being there would be in the way of the
right,
backlight.
okay, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a little bit slower than the very, very fastest fingerprint sensors we've used, I think.
But it was so cool to use.
Yeah, it is like, the way it acts, it needs light, obviously, to be able to detect it, so that the area where you press has to be illuminated.
And so that tells you where to press it
that
anyway.
tells you to press it anyway, you lift it up, you get this area where you know to press, and then you get this cool little effect, and then it just springs to life.
Yeah.
It's
So let's
Simple as that.
throw it over to you. What do you guys prefer? Do you prefer your fingerprint sensor on the back or in the
We don't
display?
have one with the front.
Because I mean, right now, like we have a Note 8 for you.
Oh,
actually,
yeah.
I got a Pixel
Okay,
original.
we're all pixels right
Well,
now, but
because the Note 8 might as well not have a fingerprint sensor.
but the Note 8 has that pressure sensitive area
Mhm.
where technically a behind the screen fingerprint sensor could live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who
I-
knows?
I have no idea how that could. We did ask today the guys from Vivo whether it could coexist with some kind of pressure sensitive display. They didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
It's not part of this product.
But this is the future. I mean,
Yeah.
you wrote about this a month ago or so.
Yep.
You were saying this is going to be the thing in 2018, and I hope it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be. All right, so let's
Moving
move on.
We got the Huawei keynote. We had all the mess surrounding the Huawei Mate 10 Pro, the release of that, the lack of carriers, and all the various unconfirmed reports around that. So
Can we swear?
I think we can. Yeah.
Sure.
James, can we swear? All right. This was a shit show. This was, if you haven't been following the news, Huawei was expected to announce the Mate 10 Pro for the U.S. market, both on the for the unlocked channel, which has been familiar for Huawei for years. The Mate 9 was released here. They've got some Honor phones released in the unlocked channel, but they've been nearing a deal with AT&T to sell the Mate 10 Pro in-store shelves alongside
This
the
is like a
iPhone, the
foregone
Galaxy
conclusion.
S8.
Yeah.
The dots were signed and the T's were crossed and everything was done. And then
Politics.
is that politics?
That's political questions are one of the main reasons why.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Well,
So
Yeah.
and then reportedly the deal was basically
Torpedo.
That's a good
From
way to-
AT&T's side, not from Huawei's side.
by the government that it's not
This is the
confident
theory.
that Huawei is not connected to the
I
Communist
don't
Party.
think it was a legal requirement. It was more sort of almost a warning to AT&T, based I think on a report that first came around in 2012 about supposed ties. It was Huawei and ZTE were mentioned about
Yes.
their ties to Chinese intelligence.
And here we
the
are.
Communist Party.
6 years later, and
Yeah.
there are the same concerns, which obviously are very frustrating for Huawei. And the CEO during the keynote, Richard Yu, said that he was upset by this because Americans were losing out on another very important potential phone. Right? This is a company that's a top 3 worldwide under Apple and Samsung. They make great devices. We've reviewed the Mate 10 Pro. It's awesome, but it's not going to be sold at AT&T. And according to other rumors, it's
Yeah,
also
it
not
was-
going to come to Verizon.
Yeah, David Roddick at Android Police was reporting today that supposedly a deal to bring a Verizon version of the Mate 10 Pro later in the year is also being subjected to, I think the phrase was political pressures
Yeah.
to back out of that deal. Which raises the question of if Huawei puts the time in to negotiate further carrier deals, will they then also be deep sixed at the last minute?
Potentially.
Is this just the end of Huawei, their hopes of being any kind of considerable presence in the US? Because to be a considerable presence in the US, you need carriers. And if they're stopped from doing that, that basically locks them out of the US market.
However, the phone's going on sale February 18th, up for pre-order February 4th, $799. But if you order it from Amazon, B&H, Microsoft, Best Buy, or
I'm impressed you're
Newegg,
There you go.
you get a $150 gift card back for one of those retailers. So it's essentially $650. Still more expensive than the Mate 9, but it's a far better phone. And it's exciting. It's not the announcement that I think Huawei wanted, but it's a big deal.
No.
Not at all.
No, a lot of sad
Very
faces at Huawei.
All right, so moving on to
So what's next? We saw some interesting new motor mods today.
We
Kind
did.
of a surprise from Lenovo and Motorola there.
yeah. So this was after all the other Lenovo announcements. Motorola kind of quietly issued a press release saying, "Hey, we got 2 new motor mods, and they're kind of weird. I mean, they're not batteries. They're not
Speakers.
speakers. They're not projectors. These are so the first one is essentially a medical device that reads your blood pressure. It uses your left index finger, similar to one of those armbands that you find at your local pharmacy, and it reads your blood pressure. It can read your temperature. And soon it'll be able to read your blood glucose.
Blood oxygen as well.
And blood oxygen. Sorry, Derek?
That's what I was finding.
Derek Kessler.
Derek Kessler.
Oh,
everybody.
Nice.
Hi!
Oh, jeez.
You can go back to that.
It's just ruined everything.
So this, I don't know, what did you think? This was really cool.
It was impressive. I mean, obviously, it's far from a traditional consumer product, and you could imagine the future of this sort of device be much more around medical industry and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
Right.
The fact that it worked as well as it did in two
2 minutes.
2 or 3 side-by-side demos.
Mhm.
Yeah, stick your finger in this thing. You got 2 minutes to wait while it does all its measurements. It does that wirelessly, by the way, but it's not connected to the phone.
Right, so
Which
why
kind
does
of
it have to be a
raises
motor
questions
mod?
Yeah, well,
It doesn't,
it-
but
yeah.
Yeah.
it's closed off because I think this is Motorola
It's
really.
going to be super awkward to do all that stuff with the phone
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
that. You need to see the thing at the same time as you're
Oh
taking
yeah, I
pictures
think it's
and
great. It just
Yeah.
Motorola's, I think,
What you
making a
think?
play to the enterprise here.
Mm.
They want doctors to buy Moto Z
Get this in
phones
the field.
because
Yeah.
this is the only product of its kind, and the company that makes it, Vital, is giving the technology exclusively to Motorola right now. So you can't
big get.
find it anywhere else. And maybe down the road there will be more products from Vital with Motorola. So I think it's an interesting play. The other Moto mod that was announced today, also interesting, but in a completely different way. It was a
Yeah.
slide-out
The
keyboard.
slide-out keyboard mod that blocks the camera on the back of the phone. So
Hey man, you're too busy being productive, alright? You don't
yeah, you don't have time to take pictures. I mean, to be fair, it does slide on and slide off very, very easily. The motion of getting the keyboard out the back is very similar to the old HTC Desire Z back in the day, the
Oh.
Timo G2.
Translations. Desire Z.
Z. Well,
What is
No,
Zed?
but
But
it wasn't even called that in the US.
exactly.
It's
So
G2,
there
yes.
was
It was the
yeah, it's
G2,
the
right.
G2 and T-Mobile. So
it's that
it
similar
is the
kind of
Desire Z.
flip out hinge,
Yes.
and almost like an iPad keyboard. It sort of holds the thing up,
Yeah.
You
and
gotta
you get all
props
this,
up the thing.
almost like a tiny laptop sort of experience.
Keyboard
Super
for
awkward
hands.
to use it in that. Yeah,
Tiny keys.
awkward
So-
to use in that position, but
Wait, is it meant to hold like this or be on a
you
table?
can
Be on a
line it.
table, but it's
Yeah.
big. It's the size is, it makes sense for you to be able to hold it and peck with
Yeah,
your
and the
thumbs.
magnets are strong enough for you to be able to do that.
But it's
Wow,
not.
okay.
I don't think it's meant for that. And the demo that we were given showed spreadsheets, things where you don't want the virtual keyboard to
Yeah, that's true.
take over 30 to 40% of the screen when your phone is in landscape mode. You want to be able to use the keyboard attached to the phone and have the entire screen.
So not necessarily typing out essays. but-
I don't think this will be for essays.
Again, you're looking maybe at enterprise. I mean, I can't imagine what kind of
I don't know.
madman is going to buy this thing.
But this was a very interesting product, if not for the product itself and the way it came to market. It's the first winner of Motorola's partnership with Indiegogo,
Oh,
where they
yeah.
challenged developers to use the Moto Z the Motomod MDK to build custom Moto experiences, and Motorola then gave them a whole bunch of money to essentially build it and scale it, and then bring it to market. So I like this. It's $100. It's not going to be for everybody. It's kind of awkward, but it's a nice addition to the growing Motomod ecosystem. And the Vital Motomod is $395. So certainly not something the average person is going to want,
No.
but it's a good play for the enterprise.
Excellent proof of concept.
Finally, Andrew, we have some new stuff for Android Auto, right? For Android Uno Car. Tell us about that.
was
In
very
case
good.
you didn't know what a car was. but-
Yeah, just in case. Android Auto wireless and Android Auto with Google Assistant. I think the Assistant part is more important.
Yeah.
We talked about Assistant coming to like everything in the world yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Seems like a week ago.
Android Auto is one of those things. So whether you're using it on your phone, just in a phone holder with a standalone Android Auto experience, or in the car, you get a full Google Assistant experience up to the point, you know, where you should actually be using things in the car. You can't like look up recipes and stuff in the car and have it pop up or anything like that.
I'm just imagining that. I'm sure there's a Simpsons clip for long ago of just Homer driving along, making a recipe, looking on his TV in his car.
Oh, yeah.
That could be you with your Google Assistant.
Not me. I'm a very safe driver.
Well,
I don't have Android on in my car either. So anyway, the big thing about this was, of course, they already have voice controls in Android Auto. That isn't that impressive. The fact that you could say, "Okay, Google, and navigate to this place," that's normal. But it's all linked back to your account now, in the same way that you could use Assistant on your phone or Assistant on Home or whatever.
and your account is linked to all the other stuff that Assistant can interact with.
Exactly. So if you've configured any amount of smart home stuff through Assistant, whether you've configured it on your phone or, well, it wouldn't be on your Google Home. It's just in the Home app. That's all available in your car now. So you can talk to your Nest thermostat, or you can turn off all of your lights if you forget to turn off lights, or if you had a connected garage door opener or something like that.
Or you control your family from the middle of the highway. You know,
Exactly.
whatever you want.
So, because it's just routed through your phone anyway, there's no additional setup. So that was always a hurdle for stuff that's in the car is, you know, you're not going to go set up something in there. This way, you just have it here, it does all that, and it's linked back. No multi-user support just yet, but it does do voice training. So it knows that it's you, so your kids in the back can't, you know, start yelling stuff and have the car do stuff. It's only set
It's
to
an
you,
important
which is
feature.
actually very smart. But they could do multi-user too. Really quickly, Android Auto wireless. Yes,
It is now a thing.
we've heard so many complaints about this cable works with Android Auto, this cable doesn't work, and my phone works. You know, my Galaxy S8 works with this
Especially
cable.
with like Type C being such a mess now.
Right, and
Cheap
all the
cables,
manufacturers
yeah.
do weird stuff with the different pins on Type C. No more of that. You connect to the head unit as a wireless access point, enter a password the first time, and then from there on out, anytime that your car is on and you open the Android Auto app, automatically connected.
So sweet.
So you could open up Android Auto on your phone, put it in your pocket like as you're getting into your car, and it would just be automatic and it's there.
That's great.
Yeah.
So coming up tomorrow, what do we got?
Oh,
I think
geez.
we're going
Don't make me
show
read
floor,
calendar.
show floor territory, aren't we, tomorrow?
Yeah,
Actually, one of
we're-
the interesting
Yeah.
things, Google Booth.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
today,
You got rained
if you
out.
haven't seen
Yeah.
any of the reports or our Instagram stories, you should check that out if you haven't. Today, it rained, and when I say rained, it flooded most of the city. Las Vegas is not meant to drain this
It
amount
flooded
of
the
water.
convention center. There was water dripping from the ceiling everywhere in Central Hall.
And as Alex mentioned, Google's very, very extensive outdoor booth had to be shut down. So we'll check that out tomorrow. We'll go to the show floor.
It's a two-story booth, I
Yeah.
guess. It's a two-story structure,
It's
They were pumping water out
crazy.
of there today. It was
and it has a slide and it has cool stuff.
yeah.
all right. So before we go, we're gonna throw it over to you guys if you have any questions for us. I've seen a couple of them. They're very impressed with James being able to hold those
They
cameras.
should be.
Yeah.
We're the next time we do this, we promise we'll have tripods. But you know, this is live, folks. We'll do it
it's
live.
no extra
live.
work for us. It's cool.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fine for us. We're really happy right now.
Hit us with a couple.
Rate day one out of 10. 10 out of 10? 8 out of 10? What are you feeling?
I give it an 8 because of the rain.
Yeah, I would knock it down like a hard 7 maybe.
This has made everything more of a hassle.
Yeah, around getting around a place like Las Vegas in the rain with a major convention going on, not fun.
No, not at all.
Cool headphones?
Oh yeah.
Question mark?
I got to try a pair of $52,000 Sennheiser headphones,
Practical.
and it was the most incredible experience I've had with music.
52,000?
Yeah. So the way
Yeah,
it works,
Google Assistant.
it actually it's a pair of headphones made specifically for a tube amplifier that Sennheiser makes custom. So they've only made like 10 of these, and it's warm and it's beautiful. It sounds like if you like listening to your favorite songs, this will just it'll make it sound much better, and it was a very cool experience. Lots of very cool headphones, and one of the, I think we mentioned this yesterday, but the fact that Qualcomm is now making it easier, cheaper, and more reliable to do completely free earbuds,
Independent
wireless earbuds. I think that's a big deal, and we'll see a lot more from companies that have tried it before that didn't really do a good job in the first gen.
Sony is updating a bunch of its older headphones that have already been released with
Yeah.
Google Assistant functionality, which is very interesting. Sony is
I mean, there's very little that actually happens on the headphones
right.
when
It just has to be a trigger.
Yeah.
So Sony is just like kind of super googly lately. It's really weird,
Yeah, they have been for a while.
but it's awesome.
Yeah.
Need Alex's CES impressions on America's domestic brews, Budweiser. What's your review?
Yeah, that is the only booze we have access to in
Domestic
this.
brews.
This is the only alcohol we have access to
In America.
in our suite. In our suite at the moment. So that's don't read too much into that.
What happened to Chloe at LG?
Oh, the robot, yeah. So the robot, Chloe gave some executives the silent treatment on stage.
Oh, jeez.
The rule of live demos coming into effect there. Yeah, kind of a cringy moment there. It's hardly unique when you're talking about live demos and sketchy Wi-Fi
Right.
and just
Yeah.
bound to happen at some point. At least it wasn't a live on stage human freakout like we had a few years back.
Yes.
Are we seeing any 120 hertz trends in other devices, be they smartphone or not?
BFGDs,
Which
Yeah,
big format gaming displays, 120 hertz.
I would watch out for that at MWC later in the year. I think we're finally reaching that point. Obviously, the Razer phone is first, but
It'd be
you know,
great
it's-
if every phone had one.
It would be great, but like every kind of technology, there are trade-offs. There's battery, there's brightness. We saw this in the Razer phone. Maybe it'll be a while before it becomes completely mainstream, but yeah, if you've used it, there is a big difference in terms of how fluid and how responsive it looks, and it'll just be one of those extra sort of differentiating features that, as all phones become basically good enough, it's one of those extras that maybe if you're paying a bit more for a phone, that makes it a bit special.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Mhm.
And I saw one last question that we'll try to put, make some sense of.
Uh-oh.
Price of if Linda ever does come out, what do you think it will cost? I don't know. I mean,
It can't be that expensive because
it's a
Left
laptop.
off
it doesn't
Yeah.
do anything unless your phone is in it.
But then the same thing applied to the Atrix, the
Mhm.
laptop, and that was like 500.
That
at the time,
was,
wasn't it?
yeah.
All right,
It's gonna be way more than
I'm
that.
gonna go with $399.
No.
Yeah.
That
I agree.
screen, though, I mean, I guess they don't have to make money.
Oh, you think it'll be more?
Yeah, I could easily see it being $400 or $500.
Yeah, then it's DOA. I don't think it'll.
I think it's going to DOE either way.
All right.
Yeah.
That's
But
fair
they
to
don't.
say.
You're right. They don't have to make. They don't have to make money on it. It could be cheap. It's a mechanism to sell Razer phones.
True that.
So
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so we're going into day 2 of CES
Yeah.
after what seems like
A long time.
we'll at least do this again for day
We'll have
2.
one more. We may have a very special one on Thursday.
You're also
from-
going to get a full-on podcast on the podcast feed, so that'll be
Okay.
fun.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't sure we were doing that, but
Oh, no, we're doing
it's
it.
established now. We can't back out.
Doing
We
it
can't
live.
do it. We can't do a CES without a ridiculous podcast.
All right. Shout out James for being the cameraman
Mhm.
of dreams.
James is
You're a
arms.
hero.
And-
Shout out to your biceps.
And Derek's pretty great.
Shout out Derek Kessler. Dan Rubino's in the back. Say hi. Windows Central represent.
He's enjoying himself too.
Reppin'.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Check us out on the Instagram if you haven't already. We've got some cool stuff on the story today. And as always,
Yep.
AndroidCentral.com for everything you need to know.
Bye.
See you later.
Snap.